Boy, Eddie Hearn and AJ be out here pump faking like a MF, man. You know what I'm saying? And they can do that because they know they got followers. They got fanboys that will believe anything they say. You know what I mean? Then they gonna come make videos about it. You know what I mean? Yo, there's channels out here on these YouTube streets that only cater to Anthony Joshua, Matchroom by tugging on their nuts, teabagging them. But then when it really comes to any other topics in boxing, any other facets or any other divisions, these guys are completely clueless. And I told y'all already, man, any of these clowns that come on my channel, only when I make an Anthony Joshua or a Lomachenko video because these two fighters, for some reason, it's like they have the same fan base. You know what I'm saying? They got crazy, fanatical fanboys, which is all well and fine. But are you a fan of the sport or are you a fan of these guys because you like how they look without their shirt on in the ring? That's the thing that puzzles me, you know what I mean? And I'm not going for that. If you come on my channel talking some nut ass shit when I make a video about Anthony Joshua and or um, Lomachenko, but you're never here when I make any other videos about any other fighters, man, I'm gonna flame you up. I'm not gonna block you. I'm just gonna put you on a noose and put you out to hang while I publicly ridicule your ass here on these YouTube streets live. You heard? Matter of fact, also there's one guy who only shows up and he writes me fucking soliloquies. Slim be writing me long ass paragraphs, chapters, you know what I mean? When I make a video about Tank Davis. And I flamed him up. Hey, I got to, man, equal opportunity, no discrimination, you know what I'm saying? Whether you're here for Tank Davis, Lomachenko, whether you're here for Anthony Joshua, when you riding these guys nuts and I make a video about them, or Ryan Garcia, and I've even made a video giving Ryan Garcia props, but still somebody in my comment section who've been trolling me thought that there was one thing I didn't say positive about Ryan Garcia, so he felt quite offended, man. Hey, man, I'm gonna put your ass on the noose, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make you walk that plank on some Captain Hook type shit. You know what I mean? That's what you're not gonna do. You check it. And what I've noticed about Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua and this Pops Barry Hearn, they just talking hot air. They just talking shit. Talking about they want the Tyson Fury fight. How the fuck you want the Tyson Fury fight when you're in the process of trying to finalize or looking for venues to compete against Kubra Pulev? That's what I don't quite understand, you know what I mean? You can't be talking about you want to fight the man Tyson Fury, knowing damn well Tyson Fury's contractually obligated. Even before Tyson Fury was champion, they asked him about if he wins and beats Wilder, will he fight Anthony Joshua? He said no. That's the first thing the man said. No, I'm contractually obligated for a rematch, a trilogy. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference actually between Anthony Joshua and Wilder. Wilder wants smoke. He wants that rematch. You know what I mean? By all means necessary. Even if he gets his head caved in by the man Tyson Fury, so be it. The man wants to get back in the ring. You know what I'm saying? To claim what's his, you know what I mean? And that's just a noble act from any warrior, you know what I mean? Don't be like a J Rock or Jared Hurd. These guys lose two titles in one night, and these guys didn't go for the rematch. And I'm not too quite sure what happened with Julian J Rock Williams, why he don't want no smoke with Jason Rosario. But I do know the man Jared Hurd had some internal issues in his camp, and for months upon months upon months, he didn't have a trainer. He severed ties with his trainer, that former DC cop, the Hispanic guy. I forgot his name right about now. You know what I mean? So when the man Jared Hurd finally got a trainer, he got up with Coach K up there in New Jersey, the man who be training Shakur Stevenson. He didn't have ample enough time to get back in the mix, especially learning a new trainer. You know what I'm saying? To get back in the mix, to go ahead and try to get your titles back in the contractually obligated rematch. So Jared Hurd, he forewent. He just decided, he's not gonna go for the rematch, and he lost his world title opportunity. But that's okay. I do believe he's on his way back. You know what I mean? But a man like Deontay Wilder, man, this is the heavyweight title of the world. You know what I mean? What they talking about? Step aside money. I made videos all about this last week. How much step aside money could you really pay Pulev and Deontay Wilder? How much? It's gonna have to be in the double digit millions. Ain't taking no 5 million. Maybe a man like Pulev might, you know what I'm saying? But he probably won't. He wants his world title opportunity. Why? Because he's promoted by Bob Arum. Bob Arum has a possibility of having two heavyweight champions in his stable. And then he can make a unification for undisputed. Something that I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee you this. If Kubra Pulev so happens to beat Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury so happens to retain his title versus Wilder, I guarantee you that unification fight will be made within a heartbeat for undisputed. You know what I mean? No prolonging nothing. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. If Deontay Wilder so happens to beat the man Tyson Fury in the third fight and Kubra Pulev beats AJ, that unification will be made. Now, if Deontay Wilder wins his retains his, I'm sorry, gets back his world title from the man Tyson Fury in the third fight, and Anthony Joshua beats his mandatory in Kubra Pulev, we're gonna be farther away from the undisputed fight than the two continents of Africa and North and South America separated by the Atlantic. That's how far we're gonna be apart from that fight being made. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth, you know what I mean? So for boxing's sake, for boxing's sake, let's just say the guy who Eddie Hearn promotes, let's hope he gets beat just so these undisputed fights can be made. Because, like I said, I gave y'all the scenarios. If Pulev beats AJ and Tyson Fury beats Wilder, undisputed fight will be made within a heartbeat. If Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury and Kubrat Pulev beats AJ, that unification for undisputed will be made within a heartbeat. Let Anthony Joshua beat Kubra Pulev. Let Tyson Fury and or Deontay Wilder, whomever it is, win that WBC title. We'll see how far apart we'll be from undisputed. You know what I mean? Eddie Hearn and then they've been blowing hot air, man. Talking, look how long has it been since Anthony Joshua was holding the microphone after beating guys like Parker, etc., and talking about asking the crowd, who do you want to see me fight? They say Wilder. That fight never happened. You know what I'm saying? So Eddie Hearn and them trying to finalize the venue for this fight between Kubra Pulev and Anthony Joshua, and it looks like they're looking at different venues like in Rome or Croatia. These are neutral sites. Neither fighter, Anthony Joshua or Kubra Pulev, is from Croatia and or Rome, Italy. You know what I mean? But a few days ago, Pulev's team they showed interest in a particular venue in Croatia. You know what I mean? And Anthony Joshua looks like he wants to have the fight still in the UK, which is all well and fine with me, especially if they have it at the Tottenham Hotspurs Stadium. You know what I'm saying? White Hart Lane, the new renovated stadium. Go ahead. I'm not mad at that one bit. You know, he's a heavyweight champ. He does call those shots. You know what I mean? But Pulev's manager, a guy by the name of Avialo Gostev, he told Sky Sports that they're exploring all potential landing spots for the fight. And this is what he said, quote, we've given ourselves 4 weeks to explore any and all opportunities that are there for the fight. Eddie has spoken to you about the Middle East, which is a great possibility. It makes sense because those countries were not as hard affected. And if you take the right precautions, we could really have a safe environment. Whatever makes most sense. Wherever we can have the best conditions under the current terms we're living in, then we're going to go in. End quote. So that's a guy, Cobra Puller's manager, by a guy by the name of Gustev. And Gustev also mentions that Croatia is a that they're very interested in that site. You know what I mean? Because apparently that stadium in Croatia is a unique venue, which is an open air venue, and he also mentions that Croatia hasn't been devastated by the coronavirus. You know what I mean? So look, that's also a possibility. So we talking about Middle East, Rome, Croatia. the United Kingdom. These are four potential venues. You know what I'm saying? You check it. They don't want to fight in front of you know what I mean? Like in front of nobody. You know what I'm saying? And behind closed doors. That just wouldn't quite sit well with me as far as heavyweight boxing world titles. You know, it's just look. I'd rather they wait till they can get fans in the venue. You know what I mean? But the point of the matter is, Eddie Hearn and them, they not really interested in fighting the man Tyson Fury next. I mean, how can you believe a guy who was actually even offering Tyson Fury to be a sparring partner for him when he was going to prepare to fight the man Anthony Joshua? I'm sorry, Tyson Fury. These guys say anything, man. If you guys have not caught on to the misleading stuff that Eddie Hearn and AJ and his pops Barry Hearn, they full of shit, man. How could I even believe? I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but this guy Barry Hearn was talking about kind of like he was a slave master. And there was channels out here on these YouTube streets, not white channels, black channels that tried to defend the man and tried to explain or try to put it in context what he was trying to say. Jesus Christ, man, just leave that shit alone, man. Leave that shit alone. Why even defend the guy? You know what I'm saying? So these guys over there in the United Kingdom, as far as matchroom boxing is concerned, man, I just don't like these guys when it comes to negotiations and how, man, just the last week, I heard a live stream on these YouTube streets, and it was fucking disgusting, man. It was going good for the most part, that live stream. It's channels that, that hate on Deontay Wilder and the PBC and all that. That's what they about. That's how they built their fan base. That's how they built their following over here on YouTube. That's well and fine. Me personally, B Marsh Boxing, I can't sell my soul like that, man. I don't cater to no particular fan base. Boxing ain't just about PBC, Matchroom, Golden Boy, or Top Rank, or the Sourland brothers. Nah. Boxing is overall sport. I'd even talk about tech and promotions out there in Japan. You know what I mean? That's what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? I don't cater to no particular fan base, promotional company, and or networks. Well, I was listening to this live stream, like I said, a PBC hating channel, right? Now, it was going well and fine. They were talking about mythical matchups, just throwing stuff in the air, blah, blah, blah. So and so versus so and so. And this was actually the longest I've ever listened to that particular live stream. You know what I'm saying? Because it was actually just talking boxing. None of that biased bullshit. They put that shit to the side. They was just talking about boxing. Then they got to the PBC. Ooh, you should have heard the visceral these guys had for the guys Caleb Plant and them, right? Right? Okay, whatever. Caleb Plant, sure, whatever. I'm not happy with the two guys he's fought ever since he beat Uskatagi. But then again, look, he ain't the only one who's not fighting who they supposed to fight. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that a Benavidez versus a Caleb Plant fight is what should be made over there on PBC. I think it should be made. Look, if they get the fight between, if they can come back to boxing, hopefully we can have that unification before this year ends, right? So this particular channel was just there bashing the fact that Benavidez and Caleb Plant are not unified. They said that that unification will never happen. All kind of negative stuff. But what they didn't mention was, and it was baffling to me, Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith are both world title holders over there on the Matchroom side in the UK. They hold a portion of the world titles, W and WBA belts respectfully. These guys did not mention one bit the fact that these two guys are never unified. As a matter of fact, these two guys, Caleb Plant, I'm sorry, Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders have been champions for longer than Caleb Plant and or Benavidez have been champions. You got to remember Benavidez also had a stint where he got stripped of his world title for testing positive for cocaine. He regained it back, so he's a two-time WBC, two middleweight champion. I mean, he had to go through Yildirim. I heard Yildirim is injured, but 19. Yildirim's a Turkish guy for those who don't know. Yildirim, with this COVID-19, he might. So the guy Benavidez has to fulfill his mandatory for the WBC. Avni Yildirim, has been waiting, and he definitely look entry procedure and following guidelines, rules, and regulations. Okay, a man like Avni Yildirim got a bad deal, a raw deal when he fought the man. What's that guy's name? The dog, Anthony Durrell. Okay, the fight got stopped prematurely, and they gave the victory to the man, the dog Durrell. An immediate rematch was ordered, and I wanted to see an immediate rematch because that first fight was going so good. It was such a good fight, and I hated the way it ended. I wanted to see a rematch. Rather than give Avni Yildirim the rematch, they promised him he gets the winner of David Benavidez versus the Dr. Rel. Everybody knows Benavidez beat the Dr. Rel. He's the WBC champ. So guess what? That means David Benavidez is obligated to give this guy Avni Yildirim a title shot. He's had to wait for you guys, for Benavidez and the Dr. Rel to get it on. They got it on. Now Yildirim is due for his title shot after Benavidez gets, if he does beat the man Yildirim, then I'll be the one clamoring. I'll be all for a unification with Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant, he himself has a mandatory to fulfill, if I'm not mistaken, too. You know what I mean? I can't quite remember the guy's name. Maybe he doesn't. I'm not sure. Or maybe the last guy he fought was that European guy was a mandatory. I'm not too sure. I do know Benavidez has a mandatory to fulfill. On the other hand, Callum Smith, and Billy Joe Saunders, promoted by the same Matchroom company, Eddie Hearn and them. Why they never talk about making that fight? What's up with that? How comes this particular live stream I was listening to did not even utter the words Callum Smith and the guy Billy Joe Saunders need to get on a unification? Why they didn't bash those two guys but they bashed the PBC fighters? You see, that's the shit I don't like. Why don't you just say both guys on each side and be Marsh Boxing? If you've been listening to my channel, I've been proposed that. Look, Benavidez, Caleb Plant fight each other for unification in the United States on PBC. Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders fight each other in England for big unification. The winners fight each other for an undisputed fight, and whomever's undisputed now they can get that big super fight. Get that big super fight. Put all straps on the line. If you feel you're a big bad man, go ahead and fight the man Canoli with all four of your straps. That's what I've been proposed. But these goofy ass channels out here that just be hating on black fighters, it makes me sick, man. That shit actually really makes me sick that they could talk about all the fighters on the PBC, but they never talk about the transgressions or the stuff that's going on over there in England, man. Some of these channels out here don't know shit about boxing. All they do is cater to their fan base. I don't cater to nobody. I don't make none of these videos to please anybody or anybody who's subscribed or who does follow B Marsh Boxing. That's not what I do, kid. That's out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to try to build my channel off a particular fan base by bashing another fan base. That's whack. What the deal? Finks Art of Boxing in the chat. What's going on, my G? He says, Sup, B? Sorry I'm late. It's all good, my guy. You could hit the replay button and listen on archives. He says, Fink says, you heard of Daniel Canahan? Nah, I haven't heard of that guy. Who is that guy? Is he a mandatory to one of these super middleweight champions, not named David Benavidez? I'm not sure. Uh, Finks Art of Boxing says, seems like the potential middleman seems like the potential middleman for AJ Fury and Saudi. Well, how could they be talking about Fury and Saudi things out of boxing where they're exploring options for a venue for AJ to fulfill his mandatory? How can we talk about Fury in Saudi Arabia when Fury said before he got his world title versus Wilder, he ain't fighting AJ next. He has to fight Wilder in a trilogy. That's what the man said. You ain't hear Tyson Fury, Bob Arum, Frank Warren. You never heard none of them even talk about fighting Anthony Joshua and all this. All I heard was, and I made videos about it, is Bob Arum saying stuff like that's ludicrous. Step aside money for Wilder or Pulev. That's not happening. And look, man, look, that fight ain't happening, y'all. Cut that shit out, man. Y'all Wilder haters, cut that goofy nut ass shit out. You heard? Let your man Cobra Pool Anthony Joshua say what he was gonna do all along before he lost to Andy Ruiz. Rather than fighting for undisputed, he says he has a whole lot of mandatories to fulfill. Let him do what he has to do. Fight your mandatories. When you're in the clear with all them straps, look, then you can make an undisputed fight. If you can get leeway from the sanctioning bodies to bypass some of those mandatories and then go in for an undisputed fight, so be it. But until then, stop blowing hot air. I'm not going to run with it. I'm not one of those Eddie Hearn says. Eddie Hearn says head ass channels. That ain't B Marsh Boxing. Finks Out of Boxing says he's related to organized crime in Ireland. Nah, I haven't heard of that Daniel Canahan. What does he have to do with boxing? Does he have any correlation with boxing? Is he involved? Is he Finks Out of Boxing says I hope so, B. Some shady things happening. Aram search Aram Canahan. So now it's not Daniel Canahan, it's Aram Canahan. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna see what's really goody with this guy, man. What is this? A Frankie Carbo type of guy? Who is this guy? Yeah, man. But it is what it is, man. Eddie Hearn and them, they looking for venues. Croatia, Saudi Arabia, possibly Tottenham Hotspurs, UK, White Hart Lane, Italy, Rome. Yeah, they looking for a venue, and it ain't for the fight versus Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Bob Arab, if he's gonna let Kubra Pulev step aside, he's gonna get a fat bankroll. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get that Tony Montana. Remember when Tony Montana had his men carrying all them bags into the bank? Yeah, that's what he's gonna need in order for Pulev to step aside. Vice versa for Al Heyman and the what's his name, Deontay Wilder camp. They're gonna need a boatload of money, and right about now, these promotional companies are not making money. They don't have any step aside money to give. They don't even know if they can fight in front of people. As far as England's concerned, it's probably not happening no time soon. Croatia, Rome, I don't know about Rome neither, man. Italy was hit hard body with this pandemic. Serious thing, you know what I mean? Saudi Arabia and Croatia seem like the spots that they might have to have this fight at. And do I want to see Cuba Pula versus Anthony Joshua? Sure, why not, man? I do. I don't care. Why not? At this stage, man, Anthony Joshua, anybody he fights in the heavyweight division, knocked out, regardless who it is, and that's just the truth. You know what I mean? There ain't nothing scary about the man. You know what I'm saying? That aura's been crumbled up like a ball of paper and thrown in the trash or thrown